Let's talk to Peter Spencer, because I wonder, Peter, in all of this, what struck me in it all is that Labour's saying, let's have 16-year-olds voting. So they're going for the youth vote, which tends to be more to the left anyway. Whereas obviously the Tories are going to irritate the youth vote. The youth won't want this, but the older generation think it's a good idea.
Absolutely. I mean, reading about this announcement made me wonder if maybe actually Rishi Sunak really, seriously, totally wants to lose the general election. I mean, a little early in the day for me to conduct a vox pop among my granddaughters, but I don't think it takes any thinking about at all to know that most young people regard this idea with absolute abhorrence. They're worried about their A-levels, they're worried about getting into university, they're worried about the debt they'll incur at the university, and they want to go off at this time of year to music festivals. Do they really want to spend a year square bashing? Do they? Hell, I mean, I have to say that at my own hated public school, I served in the compulsory officer training corps. I mean, it was actually called the Combined Cadet Force, but we all called it the Corps, and loathed every second of it. And so there's a factor in all this, of course, which is the fact that social media is an increasingly prevalent factor, which is one reason for the poor mental health of so many members of parliament, it has to be said. So I think there's more interest in politics among young people than there has been in the past, because they're sharing information on the subject. And so on the one hand, you're going to get an awful kickback from young people on social media about what a ghastly idea this is. At the same time, also, you're going to get a flicker of interest in Starmer's idea of bringing in, allowing people to vote from 16 onwards, drawing them into the political debate. So while it is true to say that Sunak has certainly grabbed the headlines over this idea of square bashing, I think it's fair to say that he's actually alienated a swathe of the electorate.
It depends how it's sold, doesn't it? I mean, you call it square bashing, and clearly you hated your time in the Combined
Yes.
Cadet Force.
Yes.
But I mean, we do have an enormous swathe of young people who don't know where they're going, who aren't worrying about their A-levels and university entrance so much as hanging around on street corners with nothing to do, who are uninspired, who don't have a trade, who don't have any sort of reason to get up in the morning. And either military service, national service, or being made to volunteer within the community, working with the RNLI, all sorts of other voluntary organisations. Maybe it's what they need, and they need to be told they need it, and maybe educated as to why they need it.
Yeah, I mean, I do take the point about the alternative to military service, which is volunteering in all sorts of very worthy and very useful aspects of societal endeavour, and I can see that sounds like a good idea. And of course, it fits into another narrative, which is the fact that Rishi Sunak has announced that he plans to increase defence spending by to 2.5% by the end of the decade, which, given the febrile state of the world with Russia and China and North Korea and Iran and so on, sounds like actually quite a good idea. Although actually I do have to add the rider to all that, which is that one reason that has been postulated for going for the general election in July is that because of the extra spending on defence, there will be no room for the Chancellor to give the electorate a nice little sweetener in the form of a budget with tax cuts in the autumn.